All right, welcome to today's podcast. I got one of my favorite people I've been following for a long, long time, Miss Kathryn Jones. Kathryn, welcome to the podcast.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me.
That's
I'm
awesome.
genuinely excited to be here.
Yeah, so the Growth Podcast, it's all about obviously growth mindset, scaling businesses, growing our businesses. You're the CEO of Automate Academy, which is very cool. I've been following that journey. And you're the master storyteller for conversion through what? Design hacking, right? Design
Yes.
hacking. So before we get super deep and talk about everything awesome, like speaking on stage at Funnel Hacking Live a couple of weeks ago and your upcoming event and just awesome shit that you're doing in your life, excuse my language.
Yeah.
For the people listening at home who for some reason have been living under a rock and don't know you, go ahead and
Yeah.
just tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, thank you for the introduction. You make a girl feel good about herself.
Yeah.
So I am from Denver, currently live in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I think by the grace of God, somehow discovered this internet marketing world. I was studying film in school, and I went on a 1.5-year mission trip for my church to Los Angeles. And so I kind of got to see the film world. And I just kind of became like disenchanted with it. I just was like, I don't want to do that anymore. And I had no idea what I wanted to do, but like a really stereotypical millennial, like the kind that you hate and make fun of. I was just like, I just want to help people. Like that was my idea. I was like, I just want to help people. And like, what does that even mean? I had no idea. Like it's like it hurts me to look back at that. But the one thing that I did realize is that it's a lot easier to help people when you have money. And so entrepreneurship was nowhere even on the realm of what was a possibility for me. But I just started reading like personal finance books and investing books, and that like eventually led me to like getting on people's email marketing lists, and they started like selling me courses. And so all of a sudden I'm learning about like WordPress and email marketing and copywriting and like all this stuff. And this world is just like fascinating to me. I'm in college and I'm like disregarding my normal classes because I'm like, the internet. I'm like, what? And then somebody ended up selling me a course that was all about essentially passive income. And this concept was so new to me. And it blew my mind that you could like actually make money like that. Like you'd have to trade time for money. And that just like made a flip switch in my brain, because I think at the same time, I grew up in a family with 8 kids. So I'm the second oldest of 8 kids, which is insane, but so fun. And I just adored my family and especially my mother. And I always wanted to be a mom like my mom, but I also knew that I wanted to take over the world. And for a long time, I didn't know how those two things could go hand in hand. How could I be a super present wife and mother and also have significant impact outside of my home? And so when I discovered this model of internet marketing, like, all of a sudden I was like, if I'm not an idiot, like if I'm just actually not dumb, like I could build something that would allow me to have significant impact inside of my home and out. And so it was just like next level obsession where I was like, I just like geeked out. I was like, I'm gonna figure this out, like blah blah blah. And ever since then, it has just been a ride. And it has been so fun to not only create this lifestyle for myself, but to teach other people how to do it as well. It's amazing. And I think one of the biggest catalysts for success in selling things online for me has been learning how to use design to influence conversions, whether that's in what the aesthetic of a funnel or web page looks like, whether that's the design and curation of a video, or what your presentation looks like on stage or your copy. Just figuring out what is the actual design. How do we compile this in a way how do we present this in a way that it will actually convert? And we've just been able to we as in the collective I, I don't know, like somebody pointed out to me that I refer to myself as we a lot. So I was able to just identify patterns and structures and systems, and that's just propelled me to where I am today. I think by the grace of God, I discovered internet marketing. By the grace of God, I discovered the fact that there is an avenue where if I built it right, I could have impact inside of and outside my home. And I think those two things led to this like just deep fascination with how to sell stuff. And that kind of led to me understanding and discovering this niche of design hacking, where it's like, holy smokes, like there's like actually patterns for how to design your stuff so it sells. And fast forward 5 years, holy smokes, here we are. What a time to be alive.
Isn't that the truth? Holy smokes, we're here is right. I say that all the time. What a time to be alive. I literally said it yesterday to a guy. It's insanity.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to one of my mentors the other day, and he was saying, like, 15 years ago, um, presidents of countries and like the Queen of England and things, they did not have the connectivity we have today, chilling on our couch in our
Yes.
underpants.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. And
Mhm.
I was telling you a little bit about my journey before we hopped on. And the thing that really blew my mind when I opened up the internet,
Yeah.
there you go. It shows the ridiculousness of it. When I opened up my computer, I literally Googled how to make money online. I came across, Russel Brunson right away and all this stuff. And I was like, I can make an impact from our home. Like we were staying at our friend's house in Southeast Asia, in a little tiny island in a beach house on the
Mhm.
beach, but like there was not that many people around. And I felt
Mhm.
that all of the work I was doing, I didn't have the impact I wanted inside me. I was like, I can't reach enough people here. There's not enough people. And I realized the
Mhm.
internet allowed that. And now that's what you're saying, the same thing. Like you can stay at home, be the mother and the wife you want to be, provide
Yep.
for your family, be amazing, be present, but then
Mhm.
still take over the world in your own right. Right?
Totally. Totally.
Exactly. Exactly. You summed it up perfectly. Yeah.
And I just think for me, I think a lot of people are like impact, like I want to have impact. And I think that's such a powerful word, but I don't think a lot of people take the time to break down what impact would mean for them.
Mm.
Like, what does that actually mean? And I think that's one of the reasons why I've become so passionate about this journey is because I know what impact means for me, and I know what it can mean for others. But for me, it's having automated my income,
Mm-hmm.
automated my time, I own my time, and I have a following. Because if you have money, time, and a following, then you can play whatever game you want to play. If you want to be the head of a social movement, great. You have the money, the time, and the network to make it happen. If you just literally want to travel and be super present with your family and curate like the learning experiences of your children, done. Time, money, following, great. Vlog that thing, you're good to go. If you want to put your product out to the world, or you want to reach other people, or you want to gather a group of high performers that can take on this stuff, like if you have time, money, and a group of followers, then you can play any type of game that you want. And I think it's those three levers for me that really determine impact. And I think I love that you use that word impact, where it's like, I have this stuff inside of me. And I think
Yeah.
so often the frustration is that we don't have those three things, or the combination of the three things that we want. And so if we can figure out how to have those three things, then it's like good night. It's literally like, just choose. What do you want to do? Like, all of a sudden, decisions don't have to be influenced by money or time or the fact that you don't have anybody that will listen to you. And then like that's when the game just gets so freaking fun. Like
Yeah.
so fun. So
Totally.
fun.
So fun. So fun. It's true though,
So
right?
fun.
And that's when you
Yeah.
you actually when you do have the freedom, the time freedom, the financial freedom, and the automation and a following that you're helping them on their journey as well. When you're in that space, you can truly step into your power and be yourself and enjoy
Yes.
and do the things that you find your most powerful state in, like
Yeah.
you can actually shine your brightest because you now have the freedom to do so, right? Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing. I love it so
Mm-hmm.
much. Okay, so I mean, I could talk to you for hours. I can see that very, very much. I want to get into the meat and potatoes of what you do and all this, about your amazing
Sure.
academy and like the funnel hacking story. I just want to hear all that stuff. Obviously, we can graze over whatever, but before we do that, for the listeners at home, like myself, when they were getting
Yeah.
started, yourself when you were getting started, you have these
Totally.
mental blocks. People have self-sabotage loops. They have limiting beliefs. They have all these, and we all face it. It never goes away. There's levels to the game. No matter where you are, the next level has it as well. It never stops. Okay. So for you guys listening at home, if you're wondering, like, how did she go from, her bedroom floor, like thinking about funnels, to now speaking on stage and having this mass movement, when you were back there, if you can remember back then, way back then, right?
Yeah.
What were some
Yeah.
of the challenges that you faced, and what type of advice would you give someone to overcome that internally?
Oh, this is such a good question. And I love the way that you phrased it. it's just levels.
Mm.
The thoughts never go away. They just show up differently.
Yeah.
But I think the fun part is that a thought that used to consume me for months, now it's an instant. It's like I see it come and I just convert it, and it's like done. And you just are able to trudge forward. But I think, okay, this is such a good question, because people ask me this all the time, because I've been like hanging out in this world like really since like 2014. Like I really have, like internet marketing since 2014, the funnel world specifically since 2016. And I've really been able to kind of explode, become a lot more present in about the last 2 years. And so people have asked me like, what's been the difference? Like, you've been hanging around for a while. Like, what was the difference? And truly, and if somebody would have told me this answer, I would have been annoyed at them, because I'm like if baby version of Kathryn listened to it, you'd be like, are you kidding me? Because it's such a hippie answer. It's actually a hippie answer, but it's literally true.
Yep.
And but really, like, if you look and you can see the spikes in my Stripe account, like you can see when this happens, and the difference between Kathryn, who was in the world and trying and like but struggling, versus the version I am now, who like we're still greatly in growth mode, but like we figured a few things out, is and it wasn't even that I discovered who I was, it's just I just chose it. I just decided to draw a line in the sand and be like, who is Kathryn Jones? Because before I just get so frustrated. I don't know if you've ever been like this, where I would just get so frustrated because I'd like be in a course or a program and I'd be like, I am like, this is so prideful, but I was like, I'm smarter than them, or like my work is better than theirs. Like, how are they making more money than me? Like, how are they getting featured on this stuff? And I kept thinking that the answer was, I need a new tactic or I need a new skill. And what I didn't learn is that tactics that are not combined with a sense of self, your growth can only go so far. And so I literally spent some like painstaking moments where I was like, who am I going to be? Like, who is Kathryn Jones? And not to just have this like sense of calm where it's like, oh, I know who I am. But like literally, like if somebody were to ask me like, who is Kathryn Jones? What would I say? Yeah. Like, do I have the words to say who it is? And I just didn't. Like, I actually just didn't have the words. And so I thought, well, what do I want to be true about myself? Whether it's true or not, like, who am I going to be? And again, through this whole process, it was like, I landed on these 3 things. And I cannot tell you how many times I say this to myself over and over again, every day. Every day. I start with this intentionally, and then anything that comes up that feels hard or makes me want to shrink, I've just trained my brain to say it. So it's like, I am Kathryn Jones. I am brave. I am always learning, and I'm a light to the world.
Yes.
Done. Right? So like, for example, you were really like nice and mentioned my event. Well, coronavirus, like literally as of this morning, we decided to reschedule the event because it's just not the right move. So, right. So you have this moment where you're like, oh, and you shrink, you know, and it's like, how many tens of thousands of dollars are we out on the front end? Like, so sad. Cause like, we're literally like, we're done. Like, we're ready. We've been working on this for 8 months. Like, we had the coolest lineup of speakers. Our whole plan for 2020 in terms of our business plan was centered around a program that we were going to pitch at this event, right? And so it's just like, dang it, right? But you have this moment of shrink and you train your mind. The second you feel yourself shrink, you think, who am I? I am Kathryn Jones. I am brave. I'm always learning, and I'm a light to the world. And you start to make decisions differently when you act from that place of power, right? So it's like, okay, great. We reschedule 6 months later. What can we do in 6 months? We're given a window of 6 months. What are we going to do? And how are we going to play this game? So that Design Hacking Live 2020, which will happen just, in like 6 or 7 months or so, will still be what it was times a factor of 10. And oh my gosh, like, it's already done. So we can spend all of our time on marketing. 6 months. We have 6 months to market the crap out of this thing. And like, anything that we were like, oh, like, we'll make this work. It's like, we have time, and we have time for more speakers, and we have time for a better venue. And we, you know what I mean? It's like, oh my gosh, this is actually so dope. And we have time to build our social followings to make it even better. And anyway, so it was really interesting for the last 24 hours, because I think announcements with this coronavirus has kind of exploded in 24 hours, with like the NBA getting shut down and the travel ban in the US and like all these things. And again, I think there's a moment, whether it's the coronavirus or something in your business falls apart or you have a client fall through, like whatever the moment is that makes you shrink, they're always going to come. The shrinking moments will always come. And so I think the advice that I would give to like baby Kathryn is, if you can get really clear on who you are, then it really doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't actually matter, because when you act in the truest version of yourself, you're able to make decisions. You're able to make decisions that aren't based out of fear, that aren't based out of scarcity. It's just like, we got coronavirus. Cool. Next, great, cool. And it just becomes a part of the game rather than, oh freak, like everything's ruined, like everything's wrong. And like honestly figuring out that those metrics, who am I? And being like, I'm brave, I'm always learning, I'm alive to the world. Again, whatever shrinking moment comes my way, I've been able to like just be like, chill, cool, great. And if I need to adjust and learn, I could totally do it. Like if I'm in the wrong, it's no longer like it's not like self-loathing. It's like, I'm always learning. I'm so glad that I learned that I took a misstep there, because I'm always learning. So of course I'm going to make mistakes. It's chill. I already knew that about myself. I want that to be true about myself. And so I really would like make a decision, draw a line in the sand, and make the choice. And that's the thing. It's not who am I. It's like, who do you want? Like you literally get to choose. Who are you? And then using that as the immediate combat to any feeling of shrinking, and then choose to make decisions and make plays and show up as that truest version of yourself. It is like insane. It is insane how that will affect your bank account. It's actually crazy, because all of a sudden it's like, of course I'm gonna pitch a $30,000 deal. Of course I would.
Yeah.
I'm Kathryn Jones. Whereas like baby Kathryn, $30,000, I made $40,000 last year alone, you know? And it's like, and so yeah, I think that would be like the advice that I give in that realm.
Yeah, totally. I love it. That's awesome. That's amazing advice.
A couple things came up when you were saying that. One of the things that happened to me when I was going through a tough time, I had to tell myself, it's not what's happening to me, it's how I'm responding to it, right? So instead of reacting, respond, right? Don't react, respond. And a lesson that I took from bad situations in my life that I now use as like a mantra similar to yours, when something happens and you're like, oh, how did that happen just now? Like you say, there's levels to the game. Level 1, oh my God, I didn't save the password. How did that happen? Level Kathryn, oh my God, like level Kathryn, oh my God, my huge event got canceled. Level Tony Robbins, oh my God, my event got canceled because his did also. I just saw him talk about it. And so when things happen to me, and I got this from my wife actually, she says, ask yourself, what good can come of this? Simple question.
Yes.
Instantly, you're put into abundant mindset, thinking of options. It's an open-ended question. So your subconscious starts working on it. It's like, what good can come? I can do marketing. I can do this. We can get more speakers. That's exactly what you're saying. That's the thing. Yeah. What good can come of this? And I agree. See changes in your bank account based on that. It's insane.
Oh, it's crazy. Well, and I love that too. Your wife's obviously a genius because you have Oprah Winfrey. She is. Yes. Oprah Winfrey is always, like one of her mantras is like, everything is always working out for me. It always is. Everything's working out for me. And so if you go in with that mentality, it's like, cool, 6 months, I got 6 more months, done.
Yeah.
And one thing that I love as well, I'm not sure if you've read this book. If you haven't, you have to read it. It's so good. It's called Extreme Ownership by a guy named Jocko Willink. It's amazing. But
Jocko. Love Jocko.
We love Jocko. And essentially like the basis of this book is that like everything is your fault. And because of that, everything's your opportunity. So like, he's like, how do you, so like in this example, it's like, how do you take extreme ownership over the coronavirus? Like, if that's your responsibility, you are the owner of that problem. So how are you going to handle it? And one of the ways that he gives, in terms of his mindset mentality, is he said anytime anybody would come to me with a problem in his business, or when he used to be a commander in the Navy SEALs, is he was like, if anything went wrong, his immediate response, he trained his mind, would just be like, good. And people are like, what? Like, and be like, oh, like our mission got canceled. Good, we have more time to prep. Oh, our supplies didn't come in. Good, we have more time to learn how to learn how to ration. This will make our body stronger in the long end. And like the answer is good. And so I love that, where it's like, everything's always working out for me. Everything is, I have to believe in a divine creator or a universe that wants me to succeed. And I literally think, even if you look at like physiological evidence, like evolution, you take God out of it completely. It's like, your body is like programmed to stay alive. Like you're in this, you know what I mean? Like you are programmed to succeed. And then if you go from a more spiritual aspect, it's like, God does not create things that are broken. He doesn't build a seed so that it flops. It's like, if we're not succeeding, we're out of alignment. And it's our job to figure out how to do that, because the truest versions of ourselves, we kill it. We actually kill it. And so I love what your wife said. I believe in that so much. And I think it's a practice though, for sure.
Oh yeah.
I think the natural inclination always is to just be like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Like, oh my God.
I'm going to throw this computer out the window.
Exactly. But no, I love that. But I think, long story short is, the truest advice is, who are you going to be? Because if you're playing the true version, then like, of course you belong in every single room.
Yeah.
It's not a surprise when you get invited to a room. It's not a surprise when you get like invited to speak. It's a blessing and you're so grateful, but like,
of course.
Hello. Right.
Of course.
We're all awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. When you're in that frame, and that is something that takes a ton of inner work, like a ton. You can't just get there without doing a lot of self-reflection. I don't know, meditating, journaling, reading, working on yourself constantly. Like, let's talk about that for a moment, because you're very switched on. I go quite deep into that world, you know?
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about how that looks for you. Do you have rituals or routines or anything that you want to share?
So much. And like, I think that's so true as well. And I think for a long time, I like thought I was like doing my inner work, you know? And I think I like was, you just don't know until you don't know what you're not doing. You're like, all of a sudden you're like, I'm chill. And you're like, I am not chill. I'm fine. No, I'm not fine. I think I've been really blessed to grow up in a family that taught me how to pray. And taught me how to find meaning from scriptures and community and things like that. I think that's been a part of it. I'm like a voracious reader, which has just been so helpful. But I think one of the things that's helped me most is every day I do something called head gates. I like write down what my head gates are, and we're gonna just like do a little like irrigation lesson really fast. Okay. So in irrigation, what people do, they'll plant like rows of crops, and perpendicular to those rows of crops, they'll put like a huge ditch at the end of it. And in this huge ditch, they'll run water. And at the end of this huge ditch, they have something called a head gate, which acts as a dam. So the water fills up and then it eventually bleeds into all the rows of crops. And then once it's watered all those crops, the head gate comes up and the water keeps running through the ditch. But I think so often in our life, like we are just having messages from God and people in the universe, like come to us. Like there's so many lessons to be learned in every interaction, let alone day. Are you kidding me? And I think so often we don't take the time enough to drop the head gate, and of all the lessons that are coming through, to drop the head gate and say like, pause, like, what did I actually learn from today? And am I going to allow that to water my crops? Am I going to allow that to like make me better and choose to be better? And so that's something I do every day. And I've done it for 4 or 5 years. So every day I just have like this huge list of head gates, like just head gates. And it can be anything from like something I learned from a conversation to like a pivotal moment or anything like that. But that's been something that's been super helpful. I think round one, that was like the work that I was doing beforehand. But I think the next portion of that is I got really serious about investing in myself, and I hired a ton of coaches. And one in which the first one that I hired, her name's Katie Richardson. You should totally follow her. She's amazing. And when I hired her, it was the most expensive that I had ever. She had a $30,000 price tag at the time, which I'm sure she's more expensive now. And that was just the most money that I had spent on anything in my life. Like in my whole life, I had never bought something. I've never like wired over 30 grand. Are you kidding me? I was like, what? So, but she was the first woman that I met that had any semblance of the life that I wanted. She was an internet marketer. She had built and sold like a multi-million dollar company. She was a wife. She was a mother. She was super religious. And I was just like, it was the closest version to my life that I had envisioned for myself. So I was like, I have to work with this lady. Yeah. So we do. I ended, like, long story short, she books me as a client. I wire over the money and she's like, great, we'll start next week. Here's when our first calls. And I'm like, great. And within 24 hours of signing up to work with her, I was in the hospital with an ulcer, like literally in the hospital with an ulcer because I was so stressed. Yeah, I was so stressed.
Totally.
And initially, I literally was like, I think I'm so stressed because I just wired somebody $30,000. Like, I think that I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Yeah. And like, I go to the doctor. The doctor's like, have you been particularly stressed lately? I'm like totally lying. I'm like, no, like I'm chill. I don't know what's going on. I'm like an idiot. But it was a silver lining. The first time I ever had morphine, let me just tell you what, that stuff is just high as a kite. I felt great. But upon further reflection, it wasn't the money. Like, it actually wasn't the money that made me go into the hospital with ulcer. It was, I knew that by paying that money and signing up to work with her, that I would have to choose to be seen by the world and by her and by myself. Like, I knew that, like, all these insecurities that I was sitting on,
totally, like,
I was going to have to look at the mess.
Yeah.
And that was so overwhelming for me, where I was just like, oh my gosh. And like, anything from like, I'm afraid what people will say about me. Like, if I like try and be like a presence online, to like, I'm afraid of what my family will say if I fail, or what my family will say if I succeed, or what will this do for my dating life? Like, if I really become like, what was that going to mean? Or like, is there even a person out there who would like want to take over the world? Like all these levels, like where you're just like, I thought it was chill. And you're like, I got issues. Like, I had no idea. Like, and I think I've just learned, like, you can always go deeper on your stuff. Yeah. Always go deeper on your stuff. And I mean, I still work with her almost 2 years later. And it has been, like, I had a call with her this morning about coronavirus. And it was just like, Katie, cool, let's chat about, like, how can I approach this as the truest version of Kathryn? And that really was the conversation.
Nice.
Not like, what's our marketing strategies? What's this? It's just like, where are we at? How are we going to approach this? What is Kathryn's relationship to this opportunity look like? Yeah. And it's like, okay, cool. But I do think that, like, inner work, I think there's levels. Oh, and yeah. I know that there are like so many different things I need to do. And I think for a long time I was like, I read my scriptures every day, praying. I'm intentionally trying to be a better person, and to take it to the next level, and like willingly sign up for somebody to be like, let's dive into your stuff, or like, please give me feedback on this. But like, I mean, it's brutal, but it's awesome. It's so awesome, because you're just like, stuff that used to just like throw me for a wrench a year ago, or even a month ago. It's like, we're good. Like, child's play. Great. We did it. So yeah, I would definitely say I'm still very much so a student of the inner work, personal game. And it is expensive. It is a time expensive thing. It is a money expensive thing. It is an emotionally expensive thing. But holy smokes, is the ROI through the roof.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I love it. It's so true. It's so true. It's intense. So did I lose you there?
Who could have?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, hello. Okay, good.
Yeah, we're back. How can this glitch serve us? Oh, it gave me a moment to think about my next question. Perfect.
See? You're crushing it. You don't need to go pay her 30 grand. Just, you got the gist. You got the gist.
I love it. Yeah, no, it's so true. It's so true. And there are levels. I mean, there's levels beyond levels. We can go super crazy deep and be like ants, humans, entities. Like there are levels, like when you die, what happens? What's the next level? Like there are for sure levels. Hello, people, right? There's people levitating.
Yeah.
Okay. So away from the inner work and the spirituality and all this, because that's amazing. And that's what it takes. Honestly, every single successful person that I know or I've seen or I aspire to be like, or I'm modeling their success or I'm learning from them or I follow them or whatever it is, every single one of them has the same trend. Personal development's on top of the list. Simple. It's just a trend. Not a trend. It's a fact in humanity. The people that evolve the most turn into the most advanced version of themselves. They're true to themselves, which you're on that path, which is amazing to see. That's awesome. So I'm glad that came out, because that's cool for the listeners to hear that, because it's important for them to understand that everybody's just a normal person and it takes work, not just strategy and an ad or whatever to get you somewhere. It takes a ton here. This is the spot, right in the mind. I'm pointing to the mind, guys listening on the podcast, right? Okay, so you went through this. I remember watching your cool video where you talked about your journey and how Russell got you on the funnel hacking live stage, and you were talking about how you got there and how it's just this thing. And of course, I watched your I saw your birthday video the other day on Instagram. That was hilarious.
Nice.
I was like, that's a good one. I heard your box story a couple times. I've been creeping on you a little bit, and
I love it.
Yeah, my underlying question here, generally speaking, because I could ask you about all these things. I could literally ask you 1,000 things, but I really am interested from my personal perspective, because I'm very interested in speaking. I love speaking, as you can probably tell. I like speaking. I've been in sales most of my life. I have no problem meeting and talking with people, and I've presented many times and done this kind of stuff. Not at that level at all, more like to groups, but I'm cool with it. I aspire to be on stage, and I love that stuff. I love watching Russell sell from stage. It's all cool, and that's where I see myself going. So my question for you is, tell us about the experience being in front of 5,000 people with your family in the front and like rock star music behind you and like smoke shows and like a gold glitter jacket. Like, what was that like? Did you feel like a rock star?
Okay, this is such a good question. First answer, yes. It was so fun. But like, let's talk about levels. Here's like the behind the scenes story. Cool. So I get asked to speak, like you saw the vlog, like dying, so excited. And so excited for a few reasons. Like one, I've been in this community forever. Like two, there was like a really concentrated effort to get on his radar, to get on Russell's radar. And like, it was like, holy crap, this is working. Like, this is actually awesome, like just so fun. And just hustling. And so to be seen like that is just a gift. Like, it's just such a gift. So that was super fun. So I get asked to speak, super awesome. Stuff's blowing up. And anyway, so I'm about to go to Nashville, literally. And my branding director and videographer came with me. So they were picking me up on the way to the airport. And our flight left crazy early because we couldn't get out the day before for a few reasons. And so literally, like, they're going to be at my house at 4 a.m., both of them. And I just, like, ran out of time. Like, I just ran out of time and, didn't sleep that night. Like, I just actually didn't sleep that night. And so I've been up the whole night, and I'm just like sitting there. It's about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes till they get there. And all of a sudden, 15 minutes till they get there. And then all of a sudden, like, let's talk about levels, right? All of a sudden, all these like scripts that I thought that I had been working on, that I was like chill with, they just like, it was like this spiral. And all of a sudden I was like, it's going to be terrible. Everybody's going to hate this. Like, design hacking's too simple. It's so dumb. Like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, everyone's going to hate my gold jacket. That's so extra. What am I doing? Like literally. And this is so unlike me. You have, like, I am like super chill usually. And so for me to be like spiraling, like even to myself, I'm like, what is happening? Like, what's actually going on? And I was so grateful because in this moment where I'm like freaking out, like right before I'm about to go, and it was like I was too busy to even like deal with this before. I remembered this experience that I had about 6 months prior when I went skydiving. My branding team was like, hey, we need to make a cool promo video for Design Hacking Live, and it'd be cool if, like, as part of the story arc, you went skydiving. And I was like, are you kidding me? Over my dead body, am I gonna go skydiving? I'm like, I'm gonna freaking die. And then they like pitched this story to me, this like idea, and I'm just like a sucker when it comes to cool stuff. So I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it. So we're driving to skydiving, and like, I'm starting to get really nervous, like really, really nervous. And I had remembered that I had seen this like video from Will Smith one time. So I put it about skydiving. So I put it on. Have you seen that? Have you seen the Will Smith skydiving video before?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Basically, he's like, he was so stressed these whole 2 days, and it was just terrible leading up to it. And the whole time he's on the plane. He's like, I'm sick to my stomach. It's a terrible experience. Like, and I'm just like, why am I doing this? And he said when he jumped, like at that moment of like greatest fear was when he felt most free. Like it was in that highest moment. And he remembers like falling down to the ground. He was like, why? Like, why did I taint and poison this experience by choosing to be nervous? And when I watched that, and so for skydiving I was like, that's so dope. And so I literally was like, I'm just gonna make a choice to have fun. Like, I'm just gonna choose it. And so I had the time of my life skydiving. Like, if you came to Salt Lake City and want to go skydiving, dude, let's go. Like, I'm all about it. It was so fun. And so while like fast forward X amount of months, and here I am in my like crazy spiral of like, it's gonna be terrible. What if I like literally like anything from like what if I fall on stage to what if like whatever, like I'm all over the place. And I'm just freaking out. And I think honestly God was kind to be like, Kathryn, remember skydiving. And all of a sudden I had this moment where I was like, why in the world would I ever taint this experience? Which is actually the coolest thing that's ever happened to me professionally. Like, why would I choose to be nervous? This is actually what you want. Like, this is exactly what you want, and you have it. And like, I just choose to have the time of your life. This is actually the time of your freaking life. And so it was weird. I was having like this like 8-minute freak out. And then all of a sudden I was just like, okay. And it was this center. I was like, I'm Kathryn Jones, Brave Always Learning, Light to the World. I'm going to have the time of my freaking life. And so I literally did. So I just went in, and it was like this like stubborn refusal to be nervous. Like, I just refused. And I was just like, I am going to be so present. Anybody wants to talk to me, I could not be more thrilled to be in that conversation with them. Everything, like whatever you need, I'm there. So like, it truly was the time of my life. Like, we had this amazing speaker dinner before. I was like basically like Booze Cruise from The Office. It was incredible. Like, had the speaker dinner before, and do my sound check the day before, or the morning of, which is so fun. You have like a Britney Spears microphone. You just feel cool, you know. and you like come backstage with this thing, and so it honestly was just so fun. And so one thing though that's so funny, so they have you come backstage. Russell was introducing me, and they have you like come through this stage that like opens up, and then fog comes out. And as you're standing in the back, they start the fog machine, and they tell you to not breathe. They're like, don't breathe, because we're about to like do a bunch of fog. So I'm like a rule follower, right? So I'm like, okay, I won't breathe. I have a microphone, blah, blah. Russell announces me. You like have to wait for a while. They tell you when you can go through the doors, and then they're like, okay, you can go, hop off. I am like hyped because I have chosen to not be nervous. Like, somehow I am just not nervous. I'm so excited, hit of adrenaline because I'm so excited. I'm already choosing to not be nervous. I hug Russell, but I have not breathed in a while because of this thing. So all of a sudden I'm on stage, and there's like 2 minutes. If you go back and watch the replay, there's like 2 minutes at the beginning where I'm like, I think I'm gonna faint. Like, I actually think that I'm gonna faint on this stage. Like, you know, when you're like spinning around a baseball bat and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm falling. And you're like, it's like, I don't know which way is up. And like, for some reason I had the wherewithal to realize like, it's because you didn't breathe. Like, I ran out of oxygen in my head. And I think the combination of like excitement, adrenaline, and not breathing was like, I'm actually gonna pass out. So I was like, God help me. Like, this could change my career forever, but like, if I faint, it will change it in a different way. That is not what we want. Oh. And so funny. So anyway, so I just like for like, I'm going to take 10 conscious breaths. So like, if you watch me, I'm talking a million miles a minute, and then I'll be like, and then I'll keep going, and I'll be like, and I was like, if I can't figure it out, I was like, I'll just like literally sit on the stage. There's like stairs in the front. I was like, I'll just like sit down like I'm being cool with people, you know, like bring it in, like blah, blah, blah. Anyway, by the grace of God, it passed. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm back. And then it was just fun. So that was like the only scare, but it was honestly the result of a fog machine and me just being too hyped. Like, I was like, this is actually the coolest thing. And so it was so fun. But I do have to say, I think one of the greatest blessings that came from that entire thing, because like the actual moment of speaking on stage was, I mean, it was so fun, but what happened afterwards, so amazing. Like, so many, I would use the word sacred experiences in meeting people from the crowd that I would have never had a reason to talk to because they wouldn't have known who I was. And being able to have something that would facilitate conversations like that, just like magic. So magical to be able to meet so many amazing people that are building some of the coolest stuff. And since then it's had the same effect. Like, it's amazing the amount of conversations, like you, for example, right? Like, I would never talk to you if you hadn't seen my YouTube videos or like Funnel Hacking Live.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, it's really rad that my business is like at a new level, and it's really cool that I like am able to be associated with these names. But like, are you kidding me? Like, the thing that fills my soul is I have met some of the coolest people who are just hustling, and you're just like, you're my people. Like, I have been there and I am with you. And but it was such a gift. It was such a gift to be able to speak there.
That's awesome. It's funny, you know, like, when you're in that sort of a situation, when there's quote unquote pressure on you. I've been in high pressure situations, similar, not the same, but similar, and more in sports actually. And it's like one of two things happens in that moment, and that's like a defining moment for you. And I can tell just by your personality and like your eyes and the way you're thinking right now when I talk about it, that you know which person you are. In that moment, you have one of two ways to go. You can like kind of crumble and be like, shit, it got the best of me. Or you can figure it out on the fly and just thrive in that situation. And I've spoken to a lot of people that were at Funnel Hacking Live, obviously. Like, tons of my friends were there that I've met online. I'll be there next year. I'm excited. And yeah, totally. And a lot of them said that you were like one of the most impactful speakers that they saw. And I was like, that's awesome. That means that she did. Like, I'm always interested to know if the peak performer performed, because that really shows what's actually on the inside. That's why I'm asking all these questions about inner work and stuff, because I could tell that you've been doing it based on your performance, right? So I've opened you up a little bit, and I appreciate that. That's awesome. And you just confirmed it with that whole story. So that's cool. I'm a little different, right? I go a different way than most with this stuff. I go a little deeper.
I love it. Well, it's like, honestly, like, my people would be like, I'm praying for you. Like, what can I pray for you for? And I was like, my prayer the whole time. And when I look back on like people that have been my mentors or influenced me, it was way more because of who they were than what they said. So I was just like, God, I was like, just help me to show up like Kathryn. That is like my only request. Just help me to be Kathryn on that stage, because I think whatever opportunities needed to happen next would be curated if I was brave, always learning light to the world.
Exactly. I love it. That's so good.
And I'm grateful. I think God really helped me pull through on that one.
For sure. That's awesome. And you know, when you're actually vibing in your true self, you know, I tell people this all the time. When you're being aligned with your true essence of yourself and you're on your proper vibe, you actually attract, you're like a tuning fork, right? And so you're attracting people that are on the same path, the same vibe as you. If you're not being true, you're going to attract someone who's not you. Hello.
So true.
And it's like writing an ad for an avatar that's the wrong avatar, and then wondering why the ad didn't work. It's because it's not in alignment. It's not congruent. So you stepping out there and being Kathryn, that those people that you spoke to, they saw the real you and they connected with her, right? That's the feeling you're feeling. And you can take it all the way back to when I asked you what started this whole thing. You said you wanted to be at home with your family and have impact. That alignment, when you're helping and talking and connecting with those people, that's the impact right there. That is the impact. That's awesome. Totally. What a journey, hey? What a journey.
Circle, what we said before, what a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive.
That's cool.
Amazing.
Okay, so let's get into a little bit your current business, your design hacking, and this. Tell us a little bit about what that all is, because it's awesome. And I'll be honest, I'm like, tell me more about this. I want to hack and design my shit.
So the definition of design hacking is how to present stories that convert. How do you do that? There's so many people sitting on amazing products or services or movement that never see the light of day or flop or never as successful as they could be because they simply don't know how to present it to the world. Like, you don't know how to present it. And so what design hacking does is it gives you systems and frameworks for how to present these stories or these offers to the world in a way that people will receive them and want to be a part of them and exchange money value for them. And so, like, at Funnel Hacking Live, what I talked about is, what does design hacking look like for funnel specific? But there are frameworks when it comes to design hacking for video. How do you tell stories through video in a way that converts? They're design hacking for webinar specific. How do you do it for webinars that convert? How do you do it from stage? How do you do it from podcasts? How do you do it from email marketing? And if you can figure out how to take your story or offer to the world in a way that people will pick it up, then that's how you can win. So my entire company, what we do is we teach how do you present stories and offers that convert. So on the front end, we teach that, again, through all different mediums, funnels, video, podcast, stage, copy, whatever. And then what we do is we ascend people to become then automators. So it's like we figure out how to do the skill on the front end of presenting these videos or stories or funnels that convert. And then we show them how to automate on the back end. So that all of a sudden fulfillment's super easy, and we can just churn out all the time content that actually converts. And when you marry the front end presentation of it with the back end automation, that's when you can have impact inside and outside of your home. Like that's when you have a successful business model where it's like the front end is attracting people. I have stories and offers that are converting, and my back end's automated. So we can play the game. And so that's what we do. But that's the definition of design hacking, is how do you present stories and offers that actually convert? And I think as customers mature and the internet matures, things that used to be acceptable aesthetically just don't fly anymore. People bounce, or they're like meh, or they want pattern interrupts or innovation. And again, design hacking gives you a really formulaic, systematic approach to know how to do that. So that's what we got going on.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, my brain, now my brain's exploding again.
Yay!
I'm like, oh, damn, there's more. Oh, it's cool. Okay. So yeah, you have that going on. That's your company. That's amazing. And your event is based around that. It's your members that come, and it's public, or how does that look?
Public, anybody and everybody. Honestly, we target people mostly who have a product or service already that want to increase their conversions of it. And it's just so fun. Like it really is. Cause I mean, like even look at our relationship, for example, like you saw a vlog, design hacking for video, like in a way where that resonated with you and you're like, I think I can do this. And now X amount of time later, here I am on your podcast. Like if we talk about it from like a conversion standpoint, it's like, this worked great. Like he listened to it. He bought into my movement. He's been giving me watch times, right? Watch times, subscribers. I'm now leveraging your audience for my stuff. Like from a simply conversion standpoint, awesome. And then we talk about like more intangibles, right? Where it's like, all of a sudden I have a partnership relationship with you. I know who you are. I have friends in Europe, right? It's like, you have a product, I have a product. Maybe there's room for like a joint venture or something in the future, but like, it's all because you saw a vlog. Totally. Like, it's just a vlog. You know what I mean? It's like, and I'm literally like, I'm at home right now visiting my little sister's the lead in the musical. So fun. So I'm at home right now. And like, literally a majority of that video was like, I was at home when I filmed the video. Like, it was just like, you saw me. I look like a crazy person. Like after the day, I just worked out. I looked insane. But so it wasn't like even the aesthetic of it. It was like, how do you present this story in a way that actually converts with the assets that we have? And that's what I think so fun about it. Like, you don't have to be an incredible filmmaker. You don't have to be an incredible artist. Like, it's all about, can you identify the structures and patterns of what will resonate with people? And that's what we teach inside of my community and inside of my my company.
Oh, it's awesome. That's so cool. And you're so right. Obviously, Brunson had you on his stage, so you're obviously rock starring and it works. But this is like real time working, as you mentioned, right here, right now. You're on my podcast because I saw your front end awesome stuff, and it clearly, it's right here. It impacted me properly, and clearly I had an emotional attachment to it because I remember it. Right? You remember emotions, so I remember it, and it was a while ago. When was that vlog? Like a while. It was
7 months ago. 7 months ago.
Yeah, that's a long time. I can't remember what I had for dinner. You know what I mean? I remember you're on your floor, you're laughing, and then you tell the story, and then it's like, oh yeah, and you're going up and down on the emotional roller coaster. It was hard. It was good. It was bad, and boom, and now I'm here, and I'm like, I remember it very clearly. So yeah, you're showing people how to leverage what they have. They don't have to be something crazy special, because we're all special, right? Just leverage you, but in a systematic way, and with good design. I don't know what that means. You do. That's why it's your company. That's awesome. That's so cool,
Yeah.
Kathryn. That's so cool. I'm so happy that I had you on here. This is exciting. So, okay, I want to be respectful of your time. It's been about an hour now. I've had you here. So if you have any final words of wisdom or anyone for on their journey, the growing entrepreneurs listening to this, you know, we have all the way from people that are just getting started to people that are absolutely on fire like yourself, everyone along the path. So anything you could say to those folks?
I think just to recap, I think there's probably two things. Number one, the most important thing you can figure out is who you are. It will be the catalyst for growth in every situation. And then the second thing is, once you figure out who you are, the next step is just how do you present that to the world? And that's where design hacking comes in. Figure out who you are, and then figure out how to present that version of you to the world in a way that they'll actually be like, holy crap, like, of course I have to be in this person's circle. Of course I have to buy their products. Like, of course. If you can figure out those two things, who you are and then how to present that, it does not matter what you're selling. It's game over in that particular realm. So yeah, that's all I would say. And I think I feel really because I've lived it, I feel so grateful that I can like unequivocally say like this, it's true, it's real. Like, if you're sitting in a shared dorm room on a college campus making no money, literally so poor eating ramen, right? Like, you can figure it out. I figured it out. And I would say a majority of the world is smarter and probably has a lot more going for them than I do me. And but I think that's the amazing thing about figuring out who you are and design hacking. It's the great equalizer. Totally. If you can figure out who you are and how to present it, then you can play the game. So that's all I'd say. Those are my experiences to share. So I guess that's like my best advice. It worked for me.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. It's so true. Be yourself and figure out a way to get it out to the world. That's it, right? That's the game. And your story about ramen and going from there to here, like, I'm currently in OFA, right? I just started. See, I have my book.
Yes, I love it.
I'm on day 2. It's awesome. And that's what Steve's talking about, right? He's like, if I can do it, you can do it. And it's so true. We're just all normal people, right? Yeah. Like, there's no reason. So just believe in yourself and just keep going, right?
I really believe that the people that win the game are the people that stay in the game.
Yeah. You only lose when you quit, right?
If you can figure out how to stay in the game long enough, you figure stuff out. Like, I just really believe in that. So I love this where you're like, my back's up against the wall. Cool. We're in the game. We're still in the game.
Best place to be, right?
So awesome.
Still in. We're still on the court, right? Still in the game. Yeah, cool. I love it. Yes. Okay, Kathryn, for the listeners out there who would like to come find you and check you out on social media or on the web, where can they find you?
Yes. Honestly, Instagram or YouTube. Those are your best places. So handle on both of them is just Miss Kathryn Jones, MSKathryn and come hang out, say hi. We'll just get you design hacking and automating like you've never known.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for being on the Growth Podcast, Kathryn. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. You're awesome.